You're standing at the kitchen counter. It's 7:43 in the morning. You shake out a capsule, the kind with the bright label, the reassuring list of percentages on the back, wash it down with a glass of water, and move on with your day. You did the thing. You took care of yourself. Box checked. But here's what's actually happening inside you at that moment. Almost nothing. Not because the vitamin is fake, not because the science is wrong, but because vitamins are not passive objects you simply swallow and absorb. They are active biological systems with specific requirements, precise delivery conditions, and interdependencies that most people have never been told about. And without those conditions in place, a significant portion of what you're taking is passing through you completely unused. Think about water. Imagine two different systems for moving it. One is a reservoir. It fills up slowly, stores enormous reserves, holds what you've built up over months, and releases it only when the body specifically demands it. The other is a flowing stream. What comes in moves through quickly, gets used immediately, and can accumulate. Whatever isn't used today is gone by tomorrow. Your body handles vitamins through these exact two systems. Fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K, are the reservoir. They dissolve in fat, travel through your lymphatic system, and get stored in your liver and fatty tissues. They can be drawn on weeks later, but they need fat present to move at all. Water-soluble vitamins, C and the entire B family, are the stream. They move fast, work immediately, and the excess is expelled through your urine. They can't accumulate. You need to keep replenishing them. These two systems operate by completely different rules, and most people treat every vitamin exactly the same, which is quietly where things begin to go wrong. Start with vitamin A. Most people know it has something to do with vision. What most people don't know is that vitamin A is the silent governor of your immune system's first responders. It maintains the epithelial cells, the tissue lining your lungs, your gut, your eyes, that form the body's primary physical barrier against pathogens. When vitamin A is low, those barriers thin. They become porous. Things get through that shouldn't. And because this happens gradually and invisibly, most people never connect recurring respiratory infections or slow healing to a vitamin they've been getting too little of for years. Liver, eggs, and orange vegetables contain it. But since it's fat-soluble, eating that carrot raw with nothing else means far less of it actually crosses into your bloodstream. Vitamin D is stranger still. It doesn't behave like a vitamin at all. It behaves like a hormone, synthesized by your skin when ultraviolet light hits it, then converted by your liver and kidneys into a form that travels to virtually every cell in the body. It doesn't just regulate calcium for bones. It activates immune cells, influences mood regulation, plays a role in muscle function, and may modulate gene expression in ways scientists are still working to understand. The problem is that most people in northern latitudes, especially in winter, produce almost none of it. They supplement, but they take it with water in the morning and nothing else. Since D is fat-soluble, without fat present at the point of absorption, the pill moves through largely intact. Taking it with your largest meal, or with a little avocado or a handful of nuts, changes the entire equation. Vitamin E is one of the body's primary antioxidants. It sits embedded in cell membranes, intercepting free radicals before they can oxidize the fats in those membranes and trigger the cascade of cellular damage that underlies chronic inflammation. It's quiet work, invisible work, the kind that only becomes visible when it fails, when inflammation compounds over years into something harder to name. It lives in nuts, seeds, and plant oils. And like all fat-soluble vitamins, it asks for fat to do its job. Vitamin K splits into two forms that most people conflate. K1, found in leafy greens, is what activates blood-clotting proteins. K2, less understood and far less discussed, is what directs calcium to the places it belongs, your bones and teeth, rather than the places it shouldn't accumulate, like arterial walls. Here's a trap that looks exactly like health. Someone concerned about bone density starts taking calcium supplements. Conscientious, reasonable, except without adequate K2, that calcium has no guidance system. It circulates, and some of it deposits in soft tissues. You thought you were protecting your bones, but without K2, you may have been working against your cardiovascular system without knowing it. Now the stream side, vitamin C. You know it prevents scurvy. What that actually means is that without it, the enzyme that cross-links collagen chains stops working. Collagen is the structural scaffolding of your body. Skin, blood vessels, tendons, gums, the walls of every tissue that holds its shape under pressure. When collagen synthesis collapses, those structures begin to unravel. Wounds don't heal, joints ache, gums bleed, blood vessels grow fragile. That's scurvy. Actual scurvy. And the reason it was so catastrophic on long voyages, sailors losing teeth, hemorrhaging from wounds that wouldn't close, is simply that fresh food ran out. The body cannot make its own sea, cannot store it, and uses it constantly, which means the stream needs to keep flowing. The B vitamins operate as a family, each with a distinct job in the metabolic relay. B1 converts carbohydrates into energy. B3 carries electrons through the reactions that power your cells. B6 builds neurotransmitters. Without it, serotonin and dopamine synthesis falters. Folate and B12 together manage cell division and the production of healthy red blood cells. A deficiency in either produces a specific form of anemia where cells grow enormous and misshapen, unable to carry oxygen efficiently. But B12 has a catch that catches almost everyone off guard. Absorbing it from food requires a protein produced in the stomach lining called intrinsic factor. It binds to B12 and carries it across the intestinal wall. Without that protein, which can be diminished by age, by certain medications, by autoimmune conditions, B12 passes through you almost entirely unused regardless of how much you consume. Older adults and people on long-term antacids are often quietly deficient for years before the symptoms. Fatigue, numbness, cognitive fog become undeniable. The food source isn't the problem, the absorption mechanism is, and biotin, one of the B vitamins, has its own hidden enemy. Raw egg whites contain a protein called avidin that binds biotin in the gut with extraordinary affinity and prevents it from being absorbed at all. Cooked egg whites don't. The heat denatures avidin. Someone eating raw eggs every morning, thinking they're doing something optimal, may be actively depleting a nutrient they think they're getting plenty of. These aren't edge cases. They're the gap between what people believe is happening and what is actually happening inside them. And closing that gap doesn't require a new supplement stack or a complicated protocol. It requires understanding the conditions the body already needs. Take your fat-soluble vitamins with a meal that contains fat. Pair your calcium with K2. Get real sunlight when you can, and supplement D strategically in its absence. Eat the whole egg. Keep fresh food moving through your life so the stream doesn't run dry. But more than any specific action, what changes here is the frame. Your body is not a passive container that receives whatever you put into it. It is a precise, deeply organized system that has been refining its conditions for millions of years. It doesn't need you to add more of everything. It needs you to understand what it requires to do, what it already knows how to do. The vitamins aren't magic. The body is. And now, for the first time, you actually know what's happening inside it.